The first wave of Hero Factory, it was packed full of absolute bangers. But I must say it was the villains of that 1.0 wave that really stood out. To this day, they remain iconic and legendary. So why don't we take a look at what the LEGO community has done with these characters? How have they revamped and reimagined them? Let's find out. We begin with Rotor by Kalahiki Mox. This is wonderful. The additional armor, it kind of makes those helicopter blades feel a little bit more justified. Not that they didn't before, but now it looks like it's a part of a larger exosuit. Almost like Rotor has retrofitted his own armor to make him into this big, fancy, living helicopter. The chest armor specifically, padding it up a bit, adding in extra protection, that looks good. The little heads-up display monitor here, that windscreen, that's an excellent choice. It's giving like fighter pilot helmet kind of vibes, you know? This windscreen piece specifically would have come in some of the Invasion from Below LEGO sets. I always enjoy seeing these pieces popping up every now and then. The wrist gauntlets, having these big old blasters attached into them. I just like how that looks, especially because it's quite reminiscent of the original set. It only had one of these, but the concept has been expanded. Putting a few additional pieces on the front makes it seem more like an actual weapon. Yeah, those little pops of trans green look so nice. I think this is pretty sweet. And if you take a look at the back, you can see that the blades actually do compress down and have a kind of like stored option. Now the original set did have the ability to tilt the helicopter rotors, but they couldn't fold. I like this, it just seems practical, you know? I mean, how does he get through doors when he's got a giant rotor blade on his back? This just makes sense. Honestly, I think Rotor has never looked better. This is great. Over to Von Nebula, and this is a revamp by Eero Okanonen, turning him into an aristocrat or, I don't know, a space baron. It works way better than you'd think. Hero Factory characters being the very over-the-top, mustache-twirling villains. It's such a vibe. It actually fits really well. I like that the breathing mask here kind of also looks like a big old mustache. And I love seeing this minifigure magnifying glass being used for a monocle. This is all so clever. Even the top hat, stacking a few different wheel pieces to get the top of the hat, smart. I mean, you can get these pieces in probably 100 different sets. They're very, very common. They're just wheels. But you can't have Von Nebula without his staff. And the way this has been done is probably the best thing here. Taking some of these Shadow Matoran wing pieces and turning them into the most ornate, beautiful looking thing I've ever seen. You don't see people playing around with these wing pieces all that much. So it's great to see it being kind of like the focal point of this mock. That's a very good part use. The character also has a more rounded belly and a very dignified waistcoat. Everything you'd expect from an evil aristocrat. This is perfect. Braylon Turner is our next builder, and this is a revamp of Meltdown. This is a bit of a departure from that original set, but there is enough of the original essence that it still feels like the same dude. I also really like how the shape language has been changed. The original set had a lot of sharper angles. Yeah, like the face, for example, the repeated lines, the more chiseled shape, a lot of dynamic edges. Even just sharper points on the end of the claws on his hands. The lines on the set feel pointy and jagged. Here, they're a lot more round and smooth. Typically, smoother, rounder textures, they're the kind of things you see on peaceful, cute, and friendly characters. You don't really see that kind of stuff on villains. You would think by that logic that the smoother textures, the rounded shapes, that wouldn't really work on a villain. But it does. This still feels so deliciously evil. And I think it works because of repetition. The upper leg design here, you'll see this tentacle piece being repeated quite a lot. These pieces, of course, appear as tails and tentacles in so many different sets. But yeah, seeing multiple of this piece in close proximity to one another, it feels kind of gross. Like squid tentacles or internal organs. The smoother textures don't feel rounded and happy, instead they feel organic and gross. It's wonderful to see two totally different visual styles for this character, but they still managed to capture that very evil flair and feeling. And hey, this leg design pairs very well with the tentacle whip on his arm. That's nice. The new head design is also a lot of fun. I quite like how they're making use of this element right here. This actually comes on the end of various cranes and different vehicles, like this one. I like that the hinge section here looks a little bit like fangs or something like that. It's also great to see the Atlantis cockpit piece being converted into this toxic waste container. Again, more of a rounded shape, very different from the original, but it works. It works well. I like this revamp quite a lot. Lewis Hammond has taken a stab at revamping Thunder. Now, the original set did have a bit of a hunch. And you know, hunches on villains, sometimes it's a must-have. And this one here, well, the torso design is essentially identical, so of course he still has that, but it somehow feels more pronounced. And I think that's because of the rounded shoulders. They just somehow accent the neck way more. I guess it's because you've got this big solid surface on the shoulders and chest, and then a head really drastically sticking out of it. It's a nice contrast. I also really like the trans pink highlights. So many times we see lightning on characters being represented with various shades of yellow or blue. I mean, heck, we saw that in other Hero Factory sets, right? But translucent pink, I think that's honestly just as good. It's quite refreshing to see different colored lightning. And the pink just looks really nice alongside the gray. Nice thinking. The often forgotten but still awesome set, Vapor. He's been revamped by Trickmox, going for a more stripped back design. I guess like removing the blades, that kind of seems fair. His name is Vapor. It makes sense that he would only have a vapor-based weapon, which is kind of what this is. And I like how it's been built. Getting two of these silver armor pieces, the same ones that came on various Protector sets. The way they've been sandwiched together, it just looks good. Something else that looks good is the back. It's taking one of these spring-loaded shooter pieces, the same ones that came in the Exotoa. But you remove the projectile and you just take the base. Turns out, it looks really good as a spine. If you're looking to make a kind of larger frame, you probably need this piece. Not only is it very effective for structural purposes, but visually it looks good. The texture on this and how it just covers up most of the back, it's great. It's a pretty solid revamp. Space Gunman has a revamp that certainly looks a lot like Kuroda. How good is all this new gun metal? Combine that with way more spikes, he looks like a Pokemon that's just mega evolved. He's bigger, he's better, he's cooler looking, it's top notch. The back design though is insane. Spamming all of these lightning pieces everywhere, dope. These are the same ones that are present on the set Voltix, a pretty good Hero Factory breakout set. This is a funky piece. I actually have a few in my collection that have broken over the years. It can be a little more fragile or brittle. Hopefully yours aren't broken and you can do something similar to this. Let me also direct your attention down here to the torso. We've got these Skrull armor pieces right here. Angling them just like this, I think that's a rather pretty design. Very compact, very visually pleasing, it's good. And nice idea as well, adding in these Vastus shoulder armor pieces. They're a great match for Kuroda's very spiky appearance. Yeah, isn't that nice? You've got a set like Kuroda that has a very specific look with very specific specialized pieces. So to find parts from a totally different set that fit perfectly within that aesthetic, I don't know, there's just something really nice about that. Totally unrelated elements that feel like they were meant to be together. Brilliant. And we'll finish off with the mighty Explode. Ron Folkers has made this one. I've never really noticed how scrawny the original set actually is. I like it, I like how he looks, but seeing Explode be a lot more muscular, strong and buff, with a ton more armor, I think I love that. Also, I love this new blaster. The original set, of course, did have one of these. It was just a nice stylish black. But swapping out the color, extending it a little bit, and just sort of jazzing it up, well, now it actually looks like a proper gun, which is kind of the point, right? Up here you might also notice this new red claw element. This is the same one that came in Ranu, this nice sort of Ogori set. They make up his shield. But what a wonderful idea to really embed them into the torso. Because not only does the spiky look of this pair well with the other spiky pieces that we see on the back and the shoulders, but the general shape of this. It really carves out a nice shape and silhouette for the torso. It's a nice fit. Something else I like are the spikes on the legs. This is good. It ties in that spiked aesthetic onto other parts of the body. The original set didn't really do that, so it's nice that this one is. It just fits in, it just looks good. And that's how you revamp every single 1.0 Hero Factory villain. If you enjoyed this and you want to see more cool creations, be sure to take a look at the links below. There you can find the social media of every single person that I featured today. Go and check out some of their other stuff. That's all for now, guys. Thanks for watching, happy building, and bye for now. Turns out Von Nebula is the only villain and Titan set from Hero Factory that doesn't have one of those Zamisphere launchers. Huh.